Hey, thanks for checking in to Waking Up. This is the second video of our series, and before I get started, let me apologize for the shaky camera today. I'm on the way to a project right now, and I'm in the truck today. I typically take my car to a lot of my functions because I supervise more than I physically do the work these days. But today I'm working, so it's showing a lot more bumps on the road than I anticipated. So we'll get some different equipment for things like this. Meanwhile, for this video, if it makes you seasick, just look aside and pay attention to something else, maybe the scenery around you, and take that all in while I'm talking. That kind of leads me to the topic today. So I asked in the first video for constructive criticism, and one of the first comments I got was that my thumbnail was slanted, the horizon was slanted, and it looked like everything was just sliding off to the left. So in full disclosure, for one, I didn't take that photo with the intention of using it with the video. I just grabbed the screenshot one day when I was driving earlier this week because it was just a phenomenal sunrise, and it got me to thinking, and I just grabbed it for my own personal use, but it seemed fitting for the thumbnail for the first video. So we'll work on getting those a little bit better also. But the second comment that I got was about mindfulness, and in fact that was a response to the comment about the slanted horizon, because I had mentioned that I really wasn't thinking about it that way. I wasn't paying attention. So mindfulness, that's a really broad subject, and I think most of us just think about it as being aware of what we're doing. But mindfulness can be so much more. It can be really about mindful and aware of your surroundings, the sounds, the textures, the smells that are around you, the scenery that's around me today. I'm going to cheat you a little bit. You won't be able to see it, but I'm driving through the mountains today, and I love this drive, and I always love to take it in, and yet I do this drive frequently, so I am aware that there are times that things have changed that I didn't notice, and sometimes I notice them when I can see that clearly they're aged. It's been a while, so maybe I need to work on my mindfulness as well. I'm sure I do. And in a way, that's really what the topic of this whole video series is about. It's about being mindful of the people around me, who they come from, where they come from, where they're thinking, why they get their thinking, and how does that occur, and does that apply to my life, or does it not apply to my life? Is it too far to the left or to the right for how I want to live, or does it fit in? And regardless of the fact of that, whether it fits in my life, I personally feel like it's good to be aware of it. And that's kind of what I said in the description of the first video, was that I want to be aware. I want to build bridges, not walls, in my life, and I want to embrace even people that I don't necessarily agree with. I have the good fortune of having some very close friends and family that are to the extremes of conservatism and liberalism, and I don't want to turn this into a political channel. That's not what this is about. But conservative and liberal in their points of view. So let's keep it to that. And I don't always agree with their point of view. Sorry about that. I got my finger there. I don't always agree with that point of view for either direction, really, because I'm more moderate in the way that I view life. But I like the perspective. I like knowing about it. I like being aware of it. I like to hear people out, and I want to hear you out. I'd love your input on what I'm doing here and your perspective on why we're so diverse and why we're so separated right now in our country, and how we might pull things together to kind of change that, because it's not going to be in our political system. They're not the ones who are going to change it. We have to change how we look at each other, and how we pull together, and how we find common ground with each other, because that's really the key. I don't care if you're Christian or Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist, because I've got friends with all those components within their life, and I've looked at a variety of religions in my life, and I can tell you that really it comes down to what here in the United States we've long called the golden rule, and that is to treat people the way you want to be treated and to live life the way that you feel is the right way to live life. And let me add to that, live and let live is another phrase that's been around for probably for centuries, but I think it's valid. I think it's important, and I see so much hatred and so much pushback on differences between people, and that's not going to get us very far. My life is so much fuller and so much richer, I believe, by the depth of the friends and family that I have around me, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. I really wouldn't. Even my friends that I feel are a little on the extreme, I like that diversity in my life. I like hearing what they have to say. I don't have to agree with it, but if we can, be civilized and have a discussion and see where there's common ground and understand each other and see where they're coming from, I think there's huge value in that. Years ago, my ex-wife granted me my birthday wish, which was that we had a open potluck at our house every single week for a full year. And that was because of a kind of failed birthday party that she tried to throw for me that actually turned into the best experience that I could imagine. And that was that a member of her family who is very opinionated and definitely on the liberal side happened to sit down right next to a very close and dear friend of mine who is definitely very conservative. And when they first sat down next to each other, my wife and I looked at each other on the side and thought, this could be terribly wrong, or what could happen? And it turned out that they happened to get onto music, which they both love. And they actually love a lot of the same music. And that turned into a really lengthy conversation to the point that in the end we had to ask them to go home because it was, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and they had talked all night and got along great. And because of that conversation, I asked my wife to do the potlucks. And the premise of the potlucks that we held was that it was an open invitation. It wasn't just people we knew, but it was anybody we knew and anybody that they knew could join and just show up, and that it would be every single Friday at our home, so that it was never a matter of planning ahead to know if it's this Friday or last Friday or is it next Friday or when is it. It's every Friday. It was every Friday for one full year. And I wish we could have kept it going on, but it really was kind of a burden on time. And my now ex-wife asked that we let it go, and that's fine too. But the experiences and the things that we shared and the things that I was exposed to, and maybe in some respects more importantly, some of my friends were exposed to. My ex-wife is Latina, and I still have some friends who are very white, and I certainly did then. And a few of them did manage to attend our potlucks and got to experience a variety of her friends and family, and over time, came to a variety of changed opinions and different viewpoints that they had never even questioned, hadn't even considered, hadn't thought of, didn't even know to ask themselves the questions. And that's really the point of this channel. So that's why I bring it up in the second video here. There'll be more as I keep sharing. Eventually we'll get around to hopefully some conversations with some of my friends, so that you'll get a chance to hear some of what I've already experienced by knowing them, and hopefully a few people that I have yet to meet as well. Again, if you have any interest in this at all, or if you don't mind helping me out, because if you don't know the way the dynamics of YouTube works, it's very helpful for me if you subscribe. And I hope you like the video, or at least I hope you click that you like the video. But even if you don't, click and state your opinion. But hopefully you like the fact that I'm creating a conversation in a format here where you might interject and have something to say that might affect some of the other people that are watching. And by all means, I encourage your comments. I would love your comments. It'll help me develop the content. It'll help me steer this thing into something that hopefully the majority of you want to watch. There'll be a few videos that some of you'll have no interest in. There'll be a few of you that are going to be really mad at me. There'll be a few of you that are going to be really happy about me, and it may change from one week to the next as to whether you love me or you hate me. But that's okay, because that's part of what this is about. And hopefully, not in any really extreme ways, but to come to some middle ground and understand that. I'm looking at all this, and I'm evaluating so many things, and it's social values, it's my health, it's what I eat, it's how I exercise or don't, it's how I interact with young people and older people and people of my own age and everybody in between. I mentioned in my first video this the transgender thing, because I've got a lot of friends who are LGBT community, and increasingly there is that gender fluid thing that's happening around me that I'm more exposed to, and I find that fascinating for a variety of reasons, because when I became, well, let me back up. So growing up in the Midwest, I'm originally from Missouri, I really wasn't exposed to much of the whole gay lifestyle or preferences or all that, and if it was there, it was very private and it was very concealed, because like I said, I'm almost 60 right now. In the 60s and 70s, it just really wasn't open, especially in the Midwest. It just wasn't a good place for gay people to be. And now we have gay marriage in the United States, and that seems to have launched itself onto also the openness, especially by millennials, of being gender fluid or changing your identity for how you want to live your life. And it's not just kink as being a cross-dresser, but it's actually living your life as a different gender. And I'm fascinated by that. I'm not personally curious about it. I'm very secure in my personal preferences. I'm happy with that. But I'm definitely not a hater. I'm very open to it, and I really enjoy the conversations I've had with a few people who are living their lives out loud and identifying as a gender that we quote unquote were not physically born to. I want to be careful about the PC part of this, and I know that's going to get me some mail from a couple of my friends, but I just want to be sensitive to the fact that that's how they've chose to live their life, and I'm not going to tolerate anybody telling me how to live my life. And I'm not going to tell them how to live their life, because I think as long as they're good people, they're honest, they live their life with integrity. I don't really care what they're wearing. I don't care how long their hair is. I don't care if they choose to wear makeup. I don't care if they have male genitals and want to be considered to be a woman. That doesn't bother me. It's just, that's none of my business. Nobody tells me who I can sleep with, and I'm not going to tell anybody else who they can sleep with. Do you love? Do you care? Are you compassionate? Are you tolerant? Are you basically a good person? Do you live by the golden rule of doing unto others as you want them to do unto you, and living and let living? All those things are important to me, and that's really what this is about. And anyway, that's going to get explored in more depth at some point, and there's a lot to unpack just in that last 2 minutes of speaking, and I hope to unpack that over a variety of videos, because I want to keep these short. I want to keep your interest, and I want to make it so that you can feel like you can click on my videos without getting pulled into some really long diatribe of me just expounding on all of what I think life is supposed to be, because I think it's important to hear other voices. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm going to get this downloaded before too long. Hopefully the lighting's a little better today than yesterday, and again, I'll see what I can do about stabilizing this image a little bit better, make it a little bit better, and get a different view. It's the first time I video taped in the truck, so that's a little different for me also, and we'll see what we can get done to make this a good place for you to stop by and maybe hear some things that are food for thought for you, and maybe interject your thoughts as well. All right, thanks. I'll see you next time.